Gretchen and Andrew from FMO Media. We have Dan here for our podcast. He is an experienced mortgage professional in Denver, Colorado. He has a passion for guiding people through their personal mortgage journeys, and he really enjoys working with the community there and educating other professionals in the industry as well. So, hi, Dan, welcome. Join us today.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Go ahead and if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, you bet. I started in the mortgage industry in 2002. I actually bought a home in 2001, and I bought the home and I closed, and I really didn't know what the hell just happened. So as a first-time buyer, I realized that, I didn't know what the process was about. Nobody really explained what I was doing. They didn't explain the power of buying a home or having investments or anything like that. So I was working in the human resources industry at that time, and I got really interested in mortgages and how it works. So I started studying. I trained with a local company. It's now since out of business, but they kind of trained me, and I mentored with some experts in the field from about 2002 until about 2000, I would say 7. And then I kind of went out on my own, worked with some different correspondent lenders in the area, had a couple mentors at the time as well, but just kind of honing the craft and learning all about trying to teach a first-time home buyer what it really means, like what's the process, how do you buy a home, what does this mean for credit, just trying to really give education, since I started. And since then, in 2014, I started this company, Lockstep Mortgage. I just want to create a company that I've seen all avenues or all sectors of lending. I just wanted to do my own thing and do it the way I wanted, to make sure that we were all experts and kind of teaching the way that I wanted and presenting the way I wanted. And so we've been going since 2014, and here we are today.
I love that. Well, you mentioned you wanted to make sure then that you guys are the expert. So what makes you an expert in the mortgage industry?
Yeah, great question. As far as experts, something that's kind of little known out there is where loan officers in a bank, if you walk into a large bank in your neighborhood, those loan officers don't have to be licensed. They don't have to have an official licensing, which seems crazy. Back after 2008, with some of the legislation that came through, they created licensing, but banks were exempt. So sometimes you can walk into a bank where somebody is brand new and they don't know exactly how a mortgage works, or what the science is behind that. So we're all, as we'll talk more about, we're mortgage brokers. We're all licensed. We have an official licensing that's national licensing. We have to go through classes and yearly continuing education credits to keep that license up. As expound on that a little bit, for what we have, we're experts in this field. That's all we do. We're just mortgages. We're not like a bank that we want to sign you up for a credit card, or want to open your checking account or something like that. We just do mortgages. And what that means is we're going to completely focus on you and what you're doing. We're available 24/7 if we have to be, to make sure we're getting you the financing or answering the questions that you have. And in a market like today's market, where it's a seller's market, we're there for you. You can call us and reach us after hours. And everybody that works here, we're all experts, as in we're all licensed. We're all, everybody kind of follows the creed that we got to know our guidelines of every loan. We know every avenue, whether it's a government loan, whether it's a VA, or it's a veteran and their financing, whether it's just conventional loan, if you're buying a second home, an investment property. We know all avenues and guidelines of all those loans, and that can be very important for you having a successful, smooth transaction. And we just want to make sure that point comes across to all the clients that come in contact with us.
I love it. Yeah, you guys are able to find a solution for anyone and help everyone accomplish all of their mortgage needs. I know you guys are in the Denver area, but what would you describe the community as in Colorado?
I'd say in Colorado, it's, I'm originally from the Midwest, and I moved here over 20 years. So, my background is, the old Midwest. Say, we grew up hardworking. Is a lot of blue collar. I mean, that's a lot of what it is here. It's very blue collar. All of course, there are other sectors, and there's some that's not blue collar, but people in general are, down to earth. They like local. They like hardworking people. It is blue collar here. We're in a neighborhood in Thornton. We cover all the Front Range, but we're here. We're amongst everybody. It's not like our call center of out of state. We know everybody. We know our neighbors. We want to keep our good name up. So it's important that we're just a part of the community that we work with here.
Why might someone want to move to Colorado? Because I mean, I'm in Florida, and you're making it sound pretty great right now.
Well, yeah, Colorado is great. I mean, I came here over 20 years ago. I don't want to leave. I mean, it's great because you've got great weather. We have just as many sunny days as San Diego, if you can imagine that, right? Over 300 days of sunny days. It's sunny often here. Of course, there's the winter, but down here, you see pictures of out of state where there's a lot of snow and you're never getting out of snow, but that's up in the mountains. But down here in Denver in the Front Range, it melts fast. I mean, we have 70-degree days in the winter. You can ski one day and golf the next down here in Denver. So I don't know. It's a great place to live. I can say that.
Well, you're making it sound pretty awesome. So you talked a little bit about helping your clients through the market and through market changes. What would you say the biggest change is that you see coming over the next, say, 3 to 6 months?
Great question. I think in the next 3 to 6 months, this market here is really strong still. So every economist that you watch still talks about a good 3 to 4% appreciation expected over the next 5 years. So you have some people that kind of want to time that and maybe say, well, maybe there's going to be a market downturn, or maybe there'll be foreclosures or something. But really, the cost of waiting can be pretty expensive. I mean, there's still appreciation to be expected. Mortgage rates I see going up. I mean, we've been at market lows. COVID hit, and again we went to market lows of mortgage rates. Well, as long as the economy can still build out of COVID and we're still doing okay, mortgage rates will go up eventually. And the cost of buying a home, if you have appreciation that's 3% every year and a rate goes up by 1% in a year, all of a sudden a home that would have cost $400,000 is now $500,000. So I would say in the next 3 to 6 months, it's not worth trying to time the industry or anything. I think it's still important to try to, if you can, the time is now to buy before rates get high and appreciation keeps to continue. That's my opinion.
That's great advice. Speaking of advice, I want to see what kind of advice would you have for buyers right now? I mean, obviously kind of buy now, but do you have anything else that you would say for buyers?
Yeah, I think sometimes buyers don't realize that you can get into a home as little as 3% down. You can do a conventional with 3% down. FHA, you have to put 3.5% down. So sometimes there's misnomers out there about having to put 20% down payment. You can do that. There are down payment programs for some that have income limitations. You can have down payments from family gifts, from take it from your 401k. There's all sorts of ways to come up with that down payment. because the power of that down payment, if you can have a home that creates wealth or creates 3 to 4% appreciation every year, it's so much better than renting over time. So we try to teach people, even the first time home buyers, you buy a home, but a few years down the road, you might looking at, maybe I want to buy a second home, or maybe I want to turn this home into investment property and buy another property. You can do that. Those are all things that we kind of show you, and that's our goal to be your mortgage broker for life and help guide you through all those things that happen as you move on.
I love that. Well, one of the things that a lot of homeowners consider while they're going through the lifetime homeownership process is refinancing. So right now, is it a good time to refinance, or how are rates looking for refinancing specifically?
Yeah, no, that's a great question too, but rates are still historically low, so it always depends on the situation. Sometimes we get clients, we'll take a look at it and say, it just doesn't make sense. We're not here to try to sell you into something. We're going to, look at your scenario. Everybody has a specific scenario. You're not going to be run through, just a straight line of decisions just because it makes sense to refinance. Sometimes people have different goals, or they might be moving in 2 years, or they don't want to pay off their home faster or something. We'll look at all those things and try to help them out. So there's, as far as refinancing right now, rates are definitely historically low. It just depends on the person's situation. Some people might have debt that they need to pay off. They might need to get in a better spot. I think a great time for people right now is they've built some equity just from all the appreciation. Even if the rates are, even if they get a little higher, it might make sense to consolidate some of the other debt and try to maybe do a restart or refresh their scenarios so they can be in a better spot and move forward with their families and their goals.
That's awesome advice. Well, kind of switching over to the broker and the business side of things. If you guys have a new loan officer, what kind of advice would you give to them right now?
If I had a new loan officer coming aboard, things that I would tell them, maybe things that I learned, and I do this a lot with new people that we come on. They say, I'll tell them, I say, this took me 10 years to figure out, but I'm going to give you this right now, and it's going to take you 6 months, right? Because there are many things that I did in the beginning that I didn't understand. So for me, as far as new brokers coming in, is one, keep all the data. The data is very important of the clients that you're working with. So you want to know birth dates, information, stuff about their family, things that you can jot down and know specifically about your client, because those clients become friends. You want to know the information about them. So all the data that you can get is going to be powerful, because that stuff becomes information that you can use in some of the system we use. We kind of present to clients and say, hey, it might be time to refinance, or hey, it's your daughter's birthday is coming up. I'm going to reach out and say happy birthday to your daughter's birthday. All those little things are very powerful to make a client for life. It'll save you a lot of time. And another thing is, probably it took me a while to realize, is just, we're the face, or you're the loan officer, and the way we present ourselves, we don't really pass people on to like processors behind the scenes. When I have a client, I'm the face to that client. So you take ownership. Anything goes wrong, rip the Band-Aid off right away. You just, hey, a mistake was made. I'm sorry. Here's a solution for you. There's those things that you just learn to do over time to just make things a lot easier. It gives you expertise, you take ownership, and it'll make your life a lot simpler. Something else that I would think about as well is kind of in regards to that, is it's take ownership of no matter what happens. We deal with a lot of things that can happen out of the ordinary, where an appraisal is taking too long, or an underwriter makes a decision that doesn't make sense, and you have to fight something. Well, you don't blame everybody else. You take the blame and you make the solution, right? You can't just sit here and say, oh, the underwriter did this, the underwriter did that. You take the blame and take ownership. People will respect that, and you'll create even a bigger bond with your client than you even thought you could.
That's awesome advice. I really love all of that, and I think that that's definitely going to be beneficial, that you're sharing this advice from 10 years of experience, and someone new can learn it without having to go through all that experience, just by learning from you and talking to you. So we're seeing a lot of things happen marketing wise, and social media has become huge, especially with COVID. People are shifting a lot to online marketing, and that face-to-face contact isn't as predominant anymore. It's kind of coming back, but we're still in that heavy social media shift. So
Yeah.
how are you seeing social media marketing impact the mortgage industry right now as a whole?
Well, I personally I think social media is like the direct contact to your potential customer, where it cuts out a lot of those maybe the old school of advertising, where you can connect with them closer than you ever could before, basically. So it's kind of a closer reach to get to your customer. I think our industry in general there are many companies that are trying to centralize, getting a mortgage, but what they find out and makes it tough, like you'll have Zillow or Amazon or Redfin making mortgage companies, which is great, but a call center and a mortgage person can only do so much without the expertise. If something goes wrong, that's where you come up with issues. There's many things. Mortgage seems easier on the outside until you're really in here to see the ins and outs of different programs, lending structures, everything that happens. And so I think there's a little niche in the future here, where there's companies like ours, where we're local, we still have the expertise, but we can still connect with people directly and be a local resource for people. And I think that'll be very valuable going forward.
You guys definitely are some great experts to come in contact with and to know. Looking kind of towards the future, what do you see as the next big thing and big step for Lockstep?
For Lockstep, great question. For us, we're not somebody that's looking to just grow exponentially. We're not looking to add a ton of people to our team. To be quite honest, we're looking for only the people that fit what we do and kind of buy into what we have with being, direct expertise with our customers, and kind of have a customer for life. We're not call centers. That's not ever going to be us. We'll always be more of a boutique type lender. The good thing with us, you get to be boutique without the big cost. So that's what we like, and that's what we'll continue to do. I think as far as us locally, my expectation here is that we become one of the top brokers here in the Denver area. And that's our goal here in the next few years. So that's where you'll see us.
Well, I'll definitely have to make a trip to Denver just to say hi to you guys. Well, before we sign off and end this great podcast with you, do you have any other advice or tips? Anything else you want to add to all the audience members out there?
No, that's not really. I mean, kind of what we do is we like to make people look good. So we work with a lot of different real estate agents. Our goal is to make that transaction be the most smooth and comfortable that it can be, to make our realtor partners look good. If you're one of our former clients and you refer out your friends, you want to look good, right? You want to give them to somebody you feel comfortable with. And that's our goal. We want all of our partners and clients to look good when we're referred out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dan, for joining us today. And we are looking forward to having more podcasts with you.
That sounds good. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.